From my head to my toes, I am covered with the fire of the running me everywhere. From my spirit to my soul, I am filled with the glory.
Alright, so I have my fabric folded into four. As you can see, this is the front part and this will be the back part of the pattern we are working with. So, and I have 1 inch allowance for my back zipper, and I'm going to be adding just ½ inch to the front for the slits. Okay, just ½ inch to the front and 1 inch to the back. So the next thing I'm going to do is to determine how wide I want my flare to be. So I'm using total of 23 inches for the width of the four, total of 23 inches. Okay, so now the next thing is to take my waist measurement here, and my waist measurement divided by 4 is 8 inches. So I'm taking from this ½ inch space here, so I'm going to add 1.5 inches for my seam allowance. Then I'm going to move down by my hip measurement, which is about 9 inches. Then I'm going to take my hip measurement, so I'm going to keep this ½ inch. All right, then I'm going to take my hip measurement divided by 4. So my hip measurement divided by 4 is 10.5. Then I'm going to add 1.5 inches just like we did here. So then I'm going to go to the hem of the clothes and take the full measurement. All right, so I'm going to connect these two ends together. All right, so for the length we are using total of 60 inches for this gown, and we have already cut out 17 inches from the 60 inches, and we are left with 43 inches for the downside. So I'm going to mark my starting line. So once I'm done with that, the next thing I'm going to do is to take measurements of 44 inches. Okay, I'm going to use this ½ inch over here to join. So I'm going to mark 44 inches and I'm going to, kind of slant it. Okay, 44 inches all the way to the downside. So this is what we have, 44 inches. Somewhere here. So I'm going to go ahead and connect. Alright, so as soon as you're done with that, the next thing you are going to do is to take your measurement of 44 inches over here. Alright, so this is where the 44 inches is. So I'm going to go ahead and connect these two ends together. So at this point, I'm going to cut out what we have. So after cutting out the flare part, this is what we have. So I'm going to open up this middle part all the way to the hem. Alright, fold your fabric on a bias, then place your pattern on it. Then remember that the neck area needs to be on fold. The center front of the neck area needs to be on fold, just like as shown. Then you go ahead and pin your pattern to your fabric, then cut it out. The neck area needs to have like 0.25 allowance, and the back part needs to have like 0.5 inches of allowance, and you need to cut that in 2 places. Okay, so that's it. When you're done, you just go ahead and cut it out. So I'm going to notch this area and also to the back. I'm also going to notch the back. Then the zipper allowance, you are also expected to notch. Alright, so after cutting out everything, this is what we have. This is for the neck band, then this is for the armhole band. Then we also went ahead to cut out piece of lining, and this bust area to under bust area I added light wadding
to this side, and to the center front I did the same from my under bust to this midway. So the next thing I need to do now is to join these two pieces together. So I'm going to join the front part together. Alright, so after joining the front bodies, this is what we have. So the next thing I'm going to do is to attach this band by the side, and as you can see, I added interfacing. I think this is air stay to the wrong side, and I went ahead to flat iron this area so that it will be easier for me to top stitch on it. So I'm going to take it this way to my sewing machine, and I'm going to top stitch on it, and I'll do the same to the other one, and also do the same to the back part before I can use lining to turn it inside out. Okay. Alright, so I'm done stitching, and this is what we have for the front part, and this is for the back part. So the next thing I'm going to do is to add my lining to it. So this is a lining, and I'm going to use my hemming gun especially on this armhole area. So I'm going to attach hemming gum on it so that when I press it, it will relax. Then I'm also going to stitch this side and this side, and I'll do the same to the front and also to the back. Okay, for the front I'm going to stitch this side and also this side, then I will leave these two parts open. Alright, so I'm done adding lining to it, and by the armhole I had to add hemming gum to it. So this is it. Alright, so this is what we have after pressing and all that. So the next thing I'm going to do is to work on the neckline. So what I'm going to do now is that I'm going to stitch from the back. I have about 2 pieces here, so I'm going to start stitching from here all the way to this side, then to this side. Then I'm going to add hemming gum while stitching. So let me quickly do that and I'll show you. Alright, so this is it after sewing with hemming gum. So I'm going to notch round the neckline. Alright, so after notching, the next thing is to flip to the right side. I had to put right side facing each other to stitch on the wrong side. So I'm going to flip to the right side of my fabric, then I'm going to iron. So let me do that off camera and show you. Alright, so after ironing, this is what I have. So the next thing I'm going to do is to get the midpoint, though I've already done that off camera. So this is the top, so I'm going to fold and iron. I'm folding with 1/2 inch so that it won't be hard for me when sewing. Okay, so I'm going to iron it out. Okay. Alright, so I'm done folding it in. So this is what we have after folding both the front and the back part of the neckline, and I went ahead to mark the midpoint. So I'm going to get the front pattern. So this is the front pattern. I'm going to fold it in this way and mark the center. So I'm going to fix it in this way using just 1/2 inch. Then I'm going to top stitch on it just like that. So I'm going to top stitch on it, then I'm going to get the back part and add it this way. Top stitch, then I'm gonna get the second one, add it this way using just 1/2 inch. So I'm top stitch on it, then after which I'm going to go around it this way. Alright, so this is it. I'm done joining it, and this is what we have. You can see how neat it is. So the next thing I'm going to do is to put the two sides together. So I'm going to stitch using the allowance I gave. I think it's 1 inch, so I'm going to stitch with 1 inch on both sides. So I'm done joining the two ends together. So this is what we have. All right, so what I'm going to do next is that I'm going to get this band. So the width is about 2 inches and we're using 1.5 inches, so I'm going to be folding in just half an inch or 0.25 inches because we are also going to stitch with half inch. So I'm going to place it this way and stitch all the way to the other side. Alright, so after that, the next thing you should do is to get your front A line, if that makes sense. So I'm going to get it this way and place at the wrong side, okay? So I'm going to be stitching with half inches all the way down, and once I'm done with this, I'll do the same to the other one, then I'll get back to you. Alright, so I'm done stitching and I forgot to tell you, this is the wrong side of my fabric and this is the right side of the band, okay? So I'm going to flip it over in order to get to the right side of my fabric, and I added a stay to the band so that it will give it a bit of strength, okay? So the next thing I'm going to do now is to get the second piece. This is the second piece and I'm going to open it up and iron. Then after ironing it, I'm going to align it this way. Then I'm going to stitch on this band. I'm stitching on the band, so I'm stitching all the way to 19 inches down. Alright, so after stitching, this is what we have, and this is the right side of our fabric. We've been able to turn it successfully, and if you notice that from the center part you won't see this fabric in between, okay? So I'm going to go and iron. Alright, so after ironing, then you stitch. I had to fold in like half an inch over here in order to have like 1.5 inches all the way down. So this is what we have. This is where the slit is and you can see how neat it is. So after stitching, the next thing you do is to impute your velvet bias. So I'm going to place it on it and stitch at the two ends all the way down. Then I'll get the upper bodice and do the same thing. So I'm going to place it here. Then at the armhole side, I'm also going to place it there round the armhole. Up to this point, I'll do the same to the other side. Alright, so I have added the velvet bias to this. So the next thing I'm going to do is to get my pocket. So you can use between 10 to 12 inches by length and width for this project. So I'm going to draft my pattern for the pocket. I have about 4 pieces here, so I'm going to go ahead and cut out this pattern just the way it is, and I'll get back to you. Alright, so on this front part, I'm going to mark 2 inches from here, or you can make it 2.5 inches because you're going to join with half an inch. So I'm going to mark 2.5 inches. And I'm also going to do the same to this part. Then I'm going to get this pocket and I'll align it right side facing each other. Then I'll stitch with 0.25 inches. Alright, so this is the back part. I had to join it. The distance from here to here is 2.5 inches, just like the one of the front part. So, and I joined right side facing each other. Right, so I'm done stitching it. This is what we have. So I'm going to get the back pattern, then fix it right side facing each other, making sure that the pocket aligns very well. So we left 1 inch allowance, so I'm going to start stitching this way. Then when I get to this pocket side, I'll take it over this way. I can reduce the allowance here and use maybe half an inch. Then I'm going to continue stitching just like that. I'm going to follow this pattern.
Then when I get to this place, I'll still maintain that 1 inch. So I'm going to align it right side facing each other, and I'm going to stitch with 1 inch, reduce to ½ inch. Then I'm going to stitch just like that. All right, so after joining it, this is what we have, and this is the right side of it, you can see. Okay, so the pocket hole is about 5.5 inches. Okay, so as you can see, it's very free for my hand. So the next thing I'm going to do is to get the upper bodice and join with ½ inch. All right, so after joining the lower bodice to the upper bodice, the next thing you should do is to use your velvet bias and design this part. And after that, I'm going to secure this part. So I'm going to leave like 6 inches from this my half length and stitch all the way down. Then after which I'm going to insert my zipper here. So I have a longer zipper, so I'm going to insert it here, and that is it for the end of this tutorial. So if you find it helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe to the channel. All right, bye.